For those of you who are taking academic writing, I want to talk about a slightly revised research proposal that we'll be working on as we get into the final week of academic writing. This is to revisit some of the ideas we were thinking about at the beginning of the semester. And I've modified a little bit the template in that I've added a few headings. And so I want to go over some of the changes here, but it's basically the same. In the introduction section, we want to include the problem. So I would begin with the prompt, the problem is, and then in very simple terms, what is the problem that you're addressing? Followed by the problem statement, which will include the topic, the indirect question, and the significance using the prompt, I wish to find, or I wish to learn more about, then your topic, because I want to find out how, or because I want to find out why something is happening, and then in order to, and then introduce the significance. Then we'll have your thesis statement, and get rid of this. And that's it. So this is what I would include here only in the introduction paragraph. I would have your name here at the top someplace. I didn't put that here in the template, but I would have your name at the top of the document. The articles, I think I would just include the references according to APA. Include the top 3 articles. The articles that you feel are the most relevant, the most valid for your literature review, and or any studies that you think are replicable for you next semester. Again, only 3 articles. List them out as according to APA as if they're references. Now, the research objectives, you can include the purpose and the target audience. Probably 1 sentence will suffice. Think of the target audience, though, being as specifically to whom you are addressing your research. It may or may not be some of your participants. Again, this is the idea of who you're writing to when you're conducting your writing your paper, you're conducting your research. You're going to be addressing some kind of purpose, some kind of target audience. Then list your research questions that we've been talking about a little bit during week 15. In the method section, you can indicate the participants that you plan to include. So are you going to include teachers, students, administrators, parents, coordinators? Try to list the possible participants. These are those that you're going to be collecting data, whether you're observing, applying questionnaires, maybe you're doing interviews or focus groups, right? And so you can include those here under the instruments section. Again, the instruments section are those observations, interviews, anything that you're applying to collect data is what you'll want to include here in the instruments. And then the procedure, as best you can, anticipate the order in which you would collect the data. So maybe you would first start observing classes. Maybe you want to apply a questionnaire first to a school to choose participants or choose teachers that you think are going to most likely provide the data that you need to answer your research questions. I understand this is early in the process, so do the best you can on the procedure in terms of anticipating how you'll collect the data. And then under expected outcomes, what you would expect. So what do you anticipate on collecting? Like what would you predict that you would find after you've collected the data and you've done your analysis? Again, this is just to predict what you think you might observe. And this provides, I think, good context when looking at the rest of the section here. So again, that's it. I think I removed a couple of sections at the end, the references and the timeline. I don't think that's necessary at this point, but take a look at the research proposal that you drafted at the beginning of the semester, make any changes that you think are necessary, and please adapt what you had at the beginning of the semester to this modified template that I'm sharing with you here today. We'll do this for Monday for next week, week 16, and discuss further your research questions, your research objectives, and basically anything else that you're working on to complete your literature review this semester, and anything that we need to talk about as it relates to the context of your research going forward next semester, as most of you are planning to use your current literature review for doing your research. Of course, if you are planning to change completely your literature review for next semester, which is also an option, let me know so we can have that discussion as well. So I look forward to seeing your modified research proposals. And again, we'll get into it a little bit more next week during week 16.